Welcome to This Explainer. If you're a focused learner looking to really unpack the reality of anxiety, you are in the exact right place. Look, we all feel it, right? That tight chest, the racing thoughts, the vague sense of impending doom. It is an entirely universal human experience. But today we aren't just going to sit here and talk about how anxiety feels. We're going to break down the hard science of exactly why it happens in your brain and body. And more importantly, we're going to build you an actionable, science-backed toolbox to actually manage it.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today's explainer. 1. The anatomy of anxiety. 2. Inside the anxious brain. 3. The psychology of worry. 4. The modern anxiety trap. And 5. The anxiety toolbox.
All right, section 1, the anatomy of anxiety. Understanding the baseline. To fix any system, we first need to understand its baseline. And to do that, we really need to validate what you're experiencing. Everyone experiences worry, but it's the degree, the duration, and the environment that push standard worry into maladaptive territory, like generalized anxiety disorder, or GAD. Now, there is this massive misconception out there that anxiety is inherently bad. It really isn't. We need to separate anxiety from fear. Fear is, well, it's a bear standing right in front of you. It triggers that high arousal fight or flight response to an immediate danger. But anxiety, that's worrying about your 401k crashing next year. Conceptually, it's entirely future-oriented. It's a response to a vague, unknown threat. Actually, believe it or not, anxiety is a brilliantly adaptive survival tool. It evolved to help us notice and plan for future problems so we can completely avoid them. It only becomes a disorder when this adaptive tool gets stuck in the on position, creating this chronic uneasiness that decreases our performance instead of protecting it.
And hey, if you feel like your system gets stuck in that on position, you are far from alone. In any given 12-month period, about 18% of the adult population suffers from at least one anxiety disorder. Think about that for a second. That is nearly 1 in 5 people you walk past on the street every single day. This makes anxiety disorders the absolute most common type of psychiatric diagnosis. It is incredibly common and, as we're going to see, deeply rooted in our biology.
Let's move to section 2. Inside the anxious brain, the biological roots. To see how this builds into the physical structure of our minds, we are going to look under the hood at the neuroanatomy and the neurochemistry driving that 18%. And this brilliantly illustrates what we call the fear circuit. See the amygdala there? That small almond-shaped structure is what assigns emotional significance to stimuli. Basically, think of the amygdala as your brain's gas pedal for threat response. In highly anxious people, this area shows super elevated activity. It's just revving. But notice that pathway connecting it to the prefrontal cortex, specifically the medial prefrontal cortex. That area is supposed to act as the brakes, extinguishing fears and calming those emotions. Well, in an anxious brain, the connectivity between the gas pedal and the brakes is often deficient. The amygdala floors it, and the prefrontal cortex just can't slow the car down. But why do the brakes fail in the first place? That brings us to neurochemistry, specifically GABA. GABA is an inhibitory neurotransmitter. It is basically your brain's completely natural anxiety reducer. And research shows that highly anxious individuals often have a functional deficiency in GABA. So without enough of it, along with disrupted levels of serotonin and cortisol-releasing hormones, your brain literally lacks the chemical resources to inhibit anxiety in stressful situations. That biological gas pedal is well and truly stuck.
Moving right along to section 3, the psychology of worry. Why we get stuck in the loop. So we know the biology. Let's transition over to the software running on that hardware. Because how our behaviors interact with our biology is where things get truly fascinating. It brings up the absolute most frustrating reality of living with generalized anxiety disorder. You know the worry is irrational. You know it's exhausting. So why can't we just stop? To bridge the academic science with our frustrating daily reality, we have to look at what worry actually achieves for us on a subconscious level. This brings us to a psychological framework heavily influenced by Mauer's two-factor model. And here's the totally counterintuitive truth. Worrying is actually an incredibly sneaky avoidance tactic. See, when people with GAD worry, their actual emotional and physiological responses to scary imagery are suppressed. By constantly chewing on a problem intellectually, like obsessing for an hour over what to write in an email, you are insulating yourself from actually feeling the raw fear of rejection. Worrying acts as a shield, but because it totally prevents you from fully processing the emotion, the anxiety never actually terminates. It just creates this vicious, self-reinforcing cycle of endless, unproductive mental spinning. Next up, section 4, the modern anxiety trap are against our minds. Now let's zoom back out to the macro level. We've established that our biology and our psychology are sensitive. Now let's see how our modern environment actively works against our ancient brains. Have you ever felt completely exhausted just trying to decide what to wear in the morning or what to order for lunch? Or maybe you've spent 45 tired minutes scrolling through Netflix, totally unable to pick a show until you just give up and go to sleep. That is a real phenomenon known as decision fatigue. Our conscious, rational system for making decisions, our prefrontal cortex, those breaks we talked about earlier, is finite. Throughout the day, as we make countless trivial choices about emails, outfits, and coffee orders, we burn precious rational fuel. When that tank empties, we experience what's called ego depletion. Our brain just shifts to its automatic, impulsive mode, leaving us incredibly vulnerable to anxiety and a total lack of self-regulation. And the external world directly manipulates our internal state in some pretty surprising ways. Physical clutter? It isn't just an eyesore. Studies show it literally spikes the stress hormone cortisol, especially in women, which is likely tied to societal expectations around housework. Poor lighting doesn't just make a room gloomy, it actively increases stress, limits your sleep, and mimics disorder. And crowds and loud noises, they go straight to activating that amygdala, boosting psychological distress. Your environment is literally constantly sending threat cues to your nervous system.
Finally, Section 5, the Anxiety Toolbox, science-backed methods to regain control. So, the crucial point here is, how do we fight back? We've identified the biological, the psychological, and the environmental problems. Let's empower you with a 3-part solution featuring physiological hacks, psychological training, and environmental curation. Let's start with a really cool physiological hack, the mammalian dive reflex. This is an age-old biological mechanism found in all mammals. When you are in the throes of an emotional overload or panic, your heart is just racing, but by filling a bowl with ice water, holding your breath, and submerging your face, specifically your eyes and cheeks, for just 15 to 30 seconds, you instantly trick your body into thinking it's diving underwater. This cold shock stimulates the trigeminal nerve, which then activates the vagus nerve. The result? Your heart rate dramatically decreases, and your parasympathetic nervous system, that rest and digest mode, is forced to take over, stopping panic right in its tracks. Next in the physiological toolbox is breathwork, but you really need the right tool for the job. Box breathing, inhaling, holding, exhaling, and holding, all for counts of 4, is absolutely incredible for returning a hyperventilating system to a regular rhythm. It distracts the mind and centers the nervous system during an acute panic situation. Conversely, the 4-7-8 method, developed by Dr. Andrew Weil, features a much longer exhale. And that long exhale signals profound safety to your brain, making it the absolute superior choice for deep relaxation, mindfulness, and combating insomnia.
Moving over to psychological training, we have mindfulness-based stress reduction, or MBSR. This is a clinically standardized 8-week program combining body scans, meditation, and yoga. Remember that vicious cycle of worry and avoidance we discussed? MBSR is what dismantles it. And why does it take 8 whole weeks? Because you are literally rewiring that faulty gas pedal and brake circuitry we discussed earlier. By teaching non-judgmental awareness of the present moment, meta-analyses show MBSR significantly reduces ruminative thinking and trait anxiety. It essentially trains your brain to just observe thoughts without impulsively reacting to them, while also increasing your levels of empathy and self-compassion. And the best part? Those benefits are maintained long-term.
Finally, we have environmental curation. We have to buy back our willpower. You must eliminate the non-value-added decisions from your life to prevent that decision fatigue. This is where minimalism really comes in, not just having fewer things, but having fewer choices. Declutter your workspace. Automate your personal finance, making daily money decisions. Heck, eat the exact same healthy breakfast every single day. By drastically reducing the volume of trivial choices, you preserve your rational thinking fuel for the things that actually matter, keeping your brain out of that impulsive, anxious state. This brings to mind an incredibly powerful quote from William James, the father of American psychology. Way back in 1890, he wrote, "The art of being wise is the art of knowing what to overlook." It perfectly summarizes our need to filter out the modern noise. And think about it, if that was true over a century ago, it is absolutely vital for protecting our mental health in today's distraction-heavy world.
We've seen the brain scans, we've broken down the tricky psychology, and we've explored the environments that constantly trigger us. But knowledge is really only potential power. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the power is entirely in your hands. So I leave you with this final provocative thought. Look around your life right now. What is the one specific thing, a physical object, a notification, a redundant daily choice that you will remove from your environment today to buy back your peace of mind? Take control of your space, and you take control of your brain. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I'll see you next time.